11 different ferries, and this latest
It's a train.
Oscar B. The Oscar B is named after the pilot of the Wahiapan ferry, which is the longest running ferry.
But we gotta turn that on.
Oscar B. Oscar B. said.
I'll kill you right in.
He's an
In here.
You know, right,
And she can't hear you yet.
there is
There we
another
are.
way to get.
There we are.
There we are.
There we
There's
are.
a bridge, right?
No, only from Washington.
Yeah, but I mean,
Only
I
from
mean, within Washington, there's a
Yeah,
bridge
bridge,
to
yeah.
get there, you
Yes,
know,
I could have gone through the shoreline.
it's, you know, the ferry's not the only route to get
Oh,
to that
okay.
island.
And that's the June,
Get it.
yes, that's the June.
Kelly's gotta get in and then, because she,
Oh,
And
little
then
known fact,
I'm
there
sorry,
will be a
she's gonna
test
put
later
the-
on, okay?
Hmm?
There will be a
Training
test
on.
later.
Right.
the screen.
All right.
If you retain.
And I don't see
your-
anybody else. I'm so surprised.
It's the only ferry that
Four
runs
confirmed.
between two states,
It's gone over.
west of Mississippi.
No, I'm for budget.
Jim,
Yeah.
Jim
Four
Gray.
hundred thirty thousand.
Oh, Paul Putke, okay.
Wow,
So Charles.
yeah, that's quite a few people.
And the state loses its ass on it.
So he's out for everything.
Oh, yeah,
At least
yeah.
this week.
They've worshiped.
So
Yeah.
Jim, Greg is here from, his last,
Okay, so I'm gonna,
gig was in Klamath
back.
Falls.
Oh, down south,
And then I'm gonna
Klamath
go
Falls.
Yeah.
No ferries down
you.
No need.
there. Which is good, I guess.
Totally landlocked there.
Are we at the hour?
Yeah.
One minute. We are. That look good to you? And I don't see anyone else waiting. And
How do I make that any bigger? Is that okay?
I think so.
So does everyone know that, Charles is not here because his mother passed? And, which was expected, but, you know, he's arranging, making
Okay.
arrangements with his family.
I guess I'm gonna call it to order,
Go right ahead.
but then I'm ready. Okay. So I'm calling the Sunset Empire Transportation District Budget Committee training to order. And Mary has taken roll call, or she will.
Who is on Zoom to
Nobody,
join us?
nobody,
Who was invited to this?
everybody.
The entire budget committee, so everybody, the
She
board.
said that Paul Putke had confirmed, and I'm not sure who all else, but Jamie of course has. All right, okay, shall we do the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I love that.
Okay.
I think it's the meetings.
Isn't that great?
I think we kind of did introductions, haven't we? Pretty much.
We met Jim.
We
We
know
met
everybody.
Jim, everybody else knows each other. So this is our budget officer training. There's no public here, so there'll be no, comments. I am only going to be here until 10 o'clock and then I'm gonna turn it over to Rebecca to
Okay.
finish up the meeting.
All right.
And Kelly, I think it's all yours.
All right, good morning, you guys.
Good morning.
We are just gonna go over some quick things, just kind of what Sunset Empire Transportation is, our sources of funding, a little bit about our expenditures, and just kind of what we are as a whole. And then I'll go over a couple of other budget type items, kind of what the budget committee's job is. And then I believe public comment is after that. Should we have any public? And that's it, and any questions?
We can have questions as we go along, if we want to. Okay.
Certainly. You guys can, yes.
Okay.
Anything is slow to move to my next slide. There we go. Actually, our mission statement is changing, right? We're changing, we're in the process of changing our mission statement.
Changing the mission statement. Did we vote on that? Do we know? We did not vote on that, so we'll, not yet, so we will change. Probably it's strategic planning.
The next transition. Okay. So our current mission statement is Sunset Empire Transportation District is dedicated to providing safe, reliable, relevant, and sustainable transportation services to Clatsop County with professionalism, integrity, and courtesy. Our current services, we have Ride Assist, we have fixed route bus services, so those run from East Astoria to Cannon Beach. And we have Ride Assist services, so paratransit and dial-a-ride services, and then mobility management. Our fixed route services, we currently have 4 weekday routes. Our Route 10 in Astoria runs 6 times a day. Route 15 in Warrenton, which will start on May 1st, will run 8 times a day. We have a Route 20 in Cannon Beach that runs from Cannon Beach to Seaside 6 times a day. Route 101 runs from Astoria to Seaside 8 times a day. And we have one weekend route that's called the Pacific Connector, and that goes from Astoria to Cannon Beach, and that's 5 times a day.
Can you say it starts, this one of them starts on May 1? It doesn't run all the time, it just starts seasonally or?
So it was one of the routes that we hadn't brought back yet. When we restarted, we had to kind of structure.
Oh, so now it's restarting, I mean,
It's restarting on May 1st.
Okay, so it's a normal route.
It's a normal route, yes. It just was one that we wanted to make sure we were fully sustainable before we brought that back.
Okay,
Ride Assist paratransit, so when we provide fixed route service, we're required to provide complimentary paratransit service for the people who cannot ride our fixed route buses. It's it's a destination service, meaning we pick up from like your residence and we take you to a doctor's appointment or the grocery store, different things like that. I'm not gonna go every single line on this.
there's a special price for that kind of thing, so.
It's the same, paratransit is $2 and a regular fixed route is $1, but there's an application process to go through for paratransit services. And it is like for the elderly and disabled. We also have dial-a-ride service, so that's a more curb-to-curb service. It's Jeffers Gardens, John Day, Swenson, and Napa. One-way fare is $8 for 0 to 10 miles, and 11 to 20 miles is $12.
That's as far east you go as Napa?
At this point, yes.
I got a question about that. As you recall, last week when we were, down in Seaside at our regular board meeting, Mayor Steve Wright, had an issue about, well, if we have that if this is available, we gotta compete with the, taxi, and is there any, did we, make the amount, was that set kind of basically on what a taxi ride would be?
No, Mary, do you have a better answer on that?
No,
I don't.
we're talking about the streetcar service?
The dial-a-ride?
The dial-a-ride service.
Oh, no, it's not based on.
Do you think it would be cheaper or more expensive or, than taxis? This
It's
is
less expensive.
It's less
It's
expensive.
less.
Definitely less
Okay,
expensive, definitely.
That's all I needed to know.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Our mobility management service provides support to various classes of riders. They review the eligibility for paratransit users. They do some travel training. Jason does some really good videos for us for travel training. They do trip planning, coordinating transportation, and they assist in monitoring the compliance of Title VI programs. Into our funding, we have some different funding streams. So we have federal, state, and local funding. So federal programs, our federal programs are like grants, they usually require a match. Some of our grants have around a 10% match, some of them have around a 40% match. We have state funding, so we get the payroll transit tax from state funding. And then our local sources are like our property taxes, our fares, if we have any volunteers.
And these local fundings, property taxes, so you're saying there's a special bond issue for this district?
We don't have a bond, we just get a portion of the property taxes,
Really?
a percentage,
Who determines that portion?
the county. It's the same, it hasn't, I don't know that it's ever changed.
So it's like a percentage?
Yes,
And we get some timber revenue.
we get some timber revenue.
And the grants are all federal grants, there's no other grants, state grants and federal grants, or just federal grants?
Right now, we just have federal grants.
There are state grants available conceivably.
We had a state grant, transportation options was a state grant, but we don't utilize that anymore.
The timber,
And timber,
and timber, that's a state or federal.
that's state, that comes in through our county.
Just out of curiosity, what is the percentage of property taxes? Do you have that?
Do you know what that number is off the top of your head? I don't.
It's read into the budget every
Is it
year.
in it?
Yeah, cause you guys gotta approve it.
Right, yeah.
It's on what we approve, and we could change that, we could, I guess, ask to change that, but I think that we're kind of told what it can be, and then we agree with that, but every year when we approve, when the budget committee approves the budget, as well as when the budget is approved by the board, it is quoted.
Okay, I'd like to,
0.16.
to help me to put up a flag on that, I'm just curious to
Yeah, I should
know what that
Where did you
is.
say the percentage was?
I think it's 0.16 or something.
Something like that. I'd have to look back in the minutes and see, but.
It's in our
Anyway,
minutes.
I think you're right, Mary.
Thank you, that's a
And do you
ballpark,
wanna-
that's all I needed.
if you wanted to change in that, we go to the Board of County Commissioners for approval? Make that
Yeah,
change?
you would have to petition to the county to change that, right? But you can, I believe you can,
Yeah.
whether they approve it or not, I don't.
Right, yeah,
I don't know
right.
what category.
Where they want to allocate.
Yeah.
And they do it every year, they determine
Yes,
every year.
Yeah.
Is it same budget season as we share?
yeah, we have requirements after the budget is passed to give them our, that we passed it and what we, and then all the information about our.
Have we ever asked, petitioned or whatever, asked to have
Not that I
an
know of.
increase?
Well, ever, in the 15 years I've been here, no.
So there's been no increase in 15 years in the percentage, even with any inflationary factors or anything, nothing.
I think so.
Interesting.
The property taxes themselves
There's no
increase
increase.
about 3% a year.
So that would be an increase to us,
So that's an
kind
increase
of
to
an
us.
automatic increase.
Yeah, it's kind of, that relates to your cost, that 3% of your cost inflation. But anyway, that's the whole, that's the whole issue. Yeah.
What I don't know is how many other districts and what they get that are in the county, how that is, I've never seen a list of what everyone gets.
Oh, but it's just a long list.
It's a long list, so
Yeah.
when they send out, when they do tax deposits, I see what everybody else gets. Like I get everybody
The
else's.
percentage is close.
I don't pay close attention to other ones.
Yeah.
They seem to be all over the board. I
Right.
mean, there's times that we can get like $5,000 and somebody else is getting like $500.
Yeah.
You know, and the school districts obviously have a huge percentage in that.
Sure.
So it
Fire
doesn't,
district, water district, all of, yeah.
That'd be an interesting list. It's
Yeah, there's like
a
road.
public list.
It's probably-
I would think it's a public list. There's road,
Oh, I'm
like
sure.
Seaside Road or Seaside, and there's Seaside
Right.
Fire, you know, there's all of those different, there's a lot. It's usually
I'll have to look at that sometime, that'd be interesting to read.
60-ish pages long.
Yeah.
So there's about 60 other, 60 districts, 60 to take part in that.
I know we get our property taxes automatically, they just send them to us. I know there's another district that has to request a certain amount when they need money, evidently when they need more funding, that the county doesn't just automatically send it to
Oh,
them.
wow.
That-
Are they
Different.
part of the county
No,
or are they a
I
separate,
don't,
like
I
us?
think they're separate,
Wow.
Yeah, our county just sends it.
yeah, and I know Columbia County is part of the county, or CC Ryder is part of the county. This is Hood River, so I'm not positive. But Tamara has said that they have to request it when they want their property
I
tax.
think they're the same, I think they're the same, that's correct.
Their transit district?
Yeah, ours
Very
They
different.
might be the same.
Yeah, I think they
might be the same as Columbia County.
and it's not just there. So, I like it, it just goes, it's just there. I get a nice little email that says we're sending you money, and this is how much money we're sending you, and then it's there. It works really well. So mobility management for seniors and individuals with disabilities is federal funds. It's allocated through ODOT discretionary process. It's a biennial grant. So going into this budget season will be the second fiscal year in this biennium. And eligible activities in that include capital and operations. We have a 5311 grant for rural areas. It supports transportation services with populations of less than 50,000. We can purchase vehicles, equipment. It has facilities and maintenance, operations and planning within that grant. So that grant assists us with our operations for our fixed route grants. And part of our planning and our admin team is in that.
That's a year to year.
It's a biennial grant, and so,
2 years, okay, 2 years, and then revisit it, and it could be nothing.
and then you reapply.
And then the 5310 and the 5311 require a match. The district has to come up with a portion. So what our district has done here is we use our state funds that come in from the payroll tax, and we use that as the match to the federal funds.
Oh, so you always have plenty of match availability.
So we can plan for that when we do our federal funds. When we do our state funds, we can match. And
So the match is kind of this more, it's just a given that you have to match. If you got
Well-
state funds in a way, I mean, how could you not?
Well, if you totally run out of money, then you don't have the match.
Well, right.
This is true.
It happens.
It does happen for us.
You've never not had a match.
Last year.
Last
I
year,
know
we
that.
had nothing.
Oh, because of that incident. Yeah. that's-
So we had nothing, we started at nothing
Yeah, right,
this
right.
this current fiscal year and
Yeah,
have built back.
That's a non-reoccurring. incident,
Right.
yeah.
Generally speaking, our STIF funds we use as our match. And this year it's for this
Right.
this biennium, it was like $2 million.
But they could set a different level of their grant. They say, I'm not giving you 500,000 this year, I want to give you 450,000 this year in the grant. So that.
Yeah, I don't know exactly, I haven't gone through I haven't gone through the process of exactly how it works applying for the grants and the approval to the grants.
Usually they do it in a 2-year cycle.
Right.
You're
It's
locked
like
in
the
for
state
2 years.
budget, yeah. State budget, yeah. So there's some vulnerability there, we gotta.
A little bit.
Yeah. It's not a guaranteed cash flow.
It's pretty stable for transits, yeah, 5310, 5311, unless we have something catastrophic happen in our federal government. And they come through.
Okay, good, okay.
And our STIF, the Statewide Transportation Improvement Fund, this is to use to expand and improve public transportation services, capital or operating and admin. You can use it for, we were just talking about our match. This is what we use for our match. There's a formula and a discretionary within the STIF. We currently just use the formula. We had the discretionary, STIF discretionary when we had our Portland route. We don't have that route anymore, so we don't have the STIF discretionary now. And this is a project based, so we go through with this fund and determine what projects we want this fund to be a part of. So
Primarily capital projects?
you can do capital. We have our operations, admin, we pay back our OTIB loan. So we use it for a few different things within. It's
we have a transportation advisory committee that we recommend the plan to, and they have to approve it, they can reprioritize, and then it goes to the board, and the full board has to approve it as well.
Goes to your board,
Yes,
Correct. Oh,
and then it goes to,
advisory.
And that board's required to have that
advisory.
makes those decisions in transportation advisory board. We're required, we are required to have that board.
Good, yeah, lots of eyes on lots of things.
Yeah.
I like
Yeah.
that,
Yes.
unlike our HOA.
Heard about that, I've heard about that.
Sorry. Just throw that in.
We'll save this, PowerPoint.
I know. This all looks very transparent. Again, unlike.
Like that.
Some state funding programs that are available. 5304 statewide planning, you can do marketing plans in there. 5339 is bus and facilities, so that's what we use to purchase buses with. When we need to purchase new buses, we actually have one of those grants still available to us that we're looking at using in this next fiscal year to
Purchase a bus,
purchase 4 buses.
4 buses,
So we're hopeful to be able to do that this next year.
4 brand.
Smaller buses,
Small buses.
not the big.
Oh.
Yeah, smaller buses.
Mhm.
buses.
Oh, yeah.
Local funding sources, property taxes, mass transit, which is the payroll distribution that comes from the state. Timber revenue, which we talked about. We have some rentals, so we have some parking spaces out in our parking lot that we rent to people.
This parking lot. Little income there.
Little, yeah, it's not big, but it's helpful and it helps, the people of Astoria to be able to find have a place to park Monday through Friday that's, secure and safe, and they actually have, because it's hard to park in Astoria.
Yeah. Every source of revenue is good.
Yes. We have our billboard on top of our building that is a rental. We get some commissions we have vending machines out in the lobby, we get a small commission from that. And the charging stations out in our parking lot, we get a small commission from that as well.
How many charges you got out there?
2. And then we also have our bus fares, of course.
Right. Is there a lot of elasticity in this bus fare pricing? I mean, can you move that up, or do you move it up?
You could move it up, but
That's not your mission.
it's not our mission.
What was your last increase?
It was a
It
decrease.
was a decrease.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's such a small percentage.
True, I get it.
I mean, it's so tiny.
We also provide free rides for kindergarten through 12th graders, so they can ride with us for free, which we've seen the high school kids actually really use. It helps mom and dad if they both work and can't get kids to their jobs or athletic
Oh, yeah.
things after school. We had the middle school in Warrenton, when we shut down, they wrote us letters, how,
Yeah.
it was kind of tricky.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
so we made sure that the Warrenton bus now goes by the middle school,
New middle school.
new middle school. So,
What is a budget? Budget is a financial plan containing estimates of revenues and expenditures for a single fiscal year or biennial budget period. And we do ours for a single fiscal year. It's based on estimates of revenue and expenditures and other requirements. It allows a local government to evaluate its needs in light of the revenue sources available to meet those needs. A complete budget justifies the imposition of property taxes and the making of the appropriations that give the government its authority to spend the public money. So without a budget, we don't get to do anything on July 1st except with whatever money we have left over from the previous fiscal year.
Is this budget template a state form?
The
Or
state
is it
does,
yours?
it's a state form.
State form, always. Okay, and then You have monthly financial statements with variance reports and you track the budget every single month.
We do,
You prepare those internally?
we do, I prepare those, yes.
And this budget, this is prepared under GAAP or FASB or GASP,
It's more of a gap.
or the GAAP.
All of the other ones get really, ASPE and all of that gets a lot of.
Right.
When the auditor comes in, there's outside adjustments that are done
Sure, oh, sure.
because of
oh, sure.
GASB and.
Oh, because of GASP.
So that part of it,
So
for me,
GASP will overrule GAAP in a situation if there's a controversy between the two.
I haven't answered that question. We have different types of funds within our budget. We have our general fund, which is general operations with no restrictions. Special revenue fund is dedicated to special purpose grants. And a reserve fund is used to accumulate money for financing the cost of a service, project, property, or equipment.
So that'd be like a capital account?
We could do, like a capital reserve fund.
Yeah, within that category, I see.
Yes.
Well, back up, this budget though, this budget is a zero balance budget always?
Yes. And then resources is our cash on hand and anticipated receipts. Requirements is the expenditures, so all of our money going out, or anything that's held for future use.
If there's excess in the budget at year end, you carry it into the next year?
Yes. We do it as a, reserve for future expenditure.
Oh, you do it that reserve, you put it in the reserve fund, in this category, if there's any excess, all goes into this.
We put money into contingency,
So you do have a contingency fund built in here
we
already.
have a contingency fund.
Is that based on a percentage or just a pick out of the air?
It's a picked number. It can't be more than 15%,
Oh, it can't under gas? Oh, anyway.
under state budget law,
Oh, more than 15% of total revenue.
yes. So I do it under that amount,
That's interesting.
and then,
Okay, so they don't want no secret cushions out there. All right, okay.
Can I ask, is there a big, variance in how transit districts operate, you know, or is this pretty standard
It's pretty standard.
procedure? Okay,
I was gonna say, I've only been at this transit district, so.
That's pretty standard.
okay.
This is a general idea of what the resources, page looks like in the budget. Ours obviously has more. We add to it, so our grants and everything will be on there, but this is just the basic page from the state that the state provides, and then we update it, to our needs. So I'll add different stuff in there, our grants and everything will be in there.
Is that like an Excel software template?
It is.
It is, okay.
Makes it.
Oh, shit.
Yes, it makes it very nice.
Oh,
I got another question, and it's sort of inserting, it isn't really where we are right now in your presentation, but before Debbie leaves, I've got a question, like, what are we gonna expect for our budget meetings and how they relate to, how they're gonna be different from last year's? And, because last year was, really at a critical time when we had just closed down. It was, and another question is too, is that what's the makeup of our committee? I mean, is it the same folks pretty much plus Jim? I'm sorry to interrupt it, but I just kind of wanted to know if we're gonna cover exactly
It's pretty much.
is somebody gonna walk kind of guide us? So I know Tina was, last year we designated her as the chair of the, conducting the,
Which that
Budget
has to be done
meetings.
every year at the very first meeting, at the beginning of the meeting. The committee as a whole nominates and selects the person who's gonna chair the committee. So
Right.
that will be up to the committee on Thursday to nominate and choose who's gonna chair the committee.
Yeah.
And then they'll lead, like Tita did last year, that person will then lead the meetings.
so it obviously needs to be somebody who's well versed in the process of what we have to accomplish.
Yes.
Okay.
And every budget meeting, I've been through this process 15 years, and it's normally the same, and sometimes it's much more critical than others, depending on your status. And it depends on what's going on. And I would say that since we are doing better, doesn't mean that it's not gonna be as critical. It'll probably be as critical as it was. Making sure that we are stable, making sure that we're going forward and everything is in the right place for us to go forward. I would think it's still gonna be lengthy, if that's what you're.
So we have some seasoned people that are on the budget committee. You know, we know Tita knows how to conduct it, several people, without, compromising anything. Would you have any suggestions for people that would be good for, maybe give Tita a break, this year, and do you know of anybody else that would be a good?
Anybody can nominate anybody.
That's the process.
So we just-
I hope nobody nominates me, because I will rescind,
You
because
can,
I don't have, I need a few more
yeah, you can.
budget cycles under my belt before I feel like I could do that, but
No, you can do, if I nominate you, you can say, no, I'm not gonna do it,
Right.
or I'm not comfortable doing it. Yeah, you can nominate Jim.
well, how does Jim, as a newcomer, although, he totally understands budgets, but how does he understand how we conduct our budget meetings? So,
I don't
Give an
know.
agenda.
Never been one. You're in the budget meeting.
I am.
Oh, okay.
I've watched them all on
Are you,
YouTube.
you participating?
He will be there.
You are too?
Yes, he is.
Oh, well,
Yeah, yeah.
oh, you got resources.
So it'll
Like
be-
crazy then.
It'll
That's
be
good.
those two, it'll be Mary, it'll be our whole board, minus Charles, at least for the first meeting. And then we have a full citizen, and we're missing one citizen position. And so Jim is the only new one on for the citizen
Okay.
side.
so it would probably be a good idea for us to nominate and approve someone that has experienced several of these cycles to lead us, okay.
I mean, if it's open and friendly and we'll communicate like this, but we didn't make too much difference to lead it.
Well, the circumstances,
Yeah.
circumstances are a lot different than they were.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be, I still think it should be reviewed thoroughly, but I think it'll be a more amenable situation.
The other thing we've changed this year too is in the past, we've been able to do it in one meeting and recommend it to the board. This year, we've passed a new policy that we are going to have a
At least
minimum
two.
of 2
And
meetings.
maybe a third.
Right, so even if we come up with an agreement on Thursday, I want it posted to the public. So the public has a chance to look at it and comment when we come back for our second meeting. I don't expect that to happen because it usually doesn't, but it's more transparent. Because if we pass this on Thursday,
Oh, yeah.
Then it-
Yeah, I get
you know,
it.
you've
Oh,
got
yeah.
people that are gonna watch the meeting on YouTube, and they may say, hey, I wanna make comments on this, and now I don't have a chance because. So that was kind of one reason I wanted,
Smart.
Yeah, that's good.
so more transparency.
Right.
And I would appreciate, because I'm on a learning curve with this, whoever chairs, that there's a robust, interaction. And, time for some pointed, focused questions. Because that really helps me a lot to understand this a little bit better. Sometimes it goes kind of at a speed where, I'm just not quite catching.
Was
up.
last year your first budget?
Well, there's no dumb questions in this. That's all.
Okay, that's, we kind of needed to clear the air on that,
Yeah.
because, you know, I want this to be, I mean, I wanna get a lot out of it. And, I certainly felt like I was just kind of in over my head last year, so.
Last year was a little
Last year
much.
was tough.
Last year was hard. We were in a different position last year than we are this year.
Okay.
I personally was in a different position last year than I am this year. The knowledge that I've gained over the last year
It was pretty contentious too, yeah.
has
You know,
been.
by the budget committee that hadn't really been,
Yeah, trial by
kind of was
fire.
broadsided by what happened.
But we don't wanna get back to a position where we have one budget meeting, the budget's passed, it's passed by the board without really questioning and looking over it
Right.
before we do that.
Yes, absolutely.
We
Well,
don't want
good.
it.
All right, I'm glad to hear about the process. Thank you.
And just again, it's been, in my experience, rare that we passed it in one meeting, absolutely rare. Maybe twice, it's pretty common.
I don't know, that one year we did it in 45 minutes.
Yeah, but that was right prior to us. Right. Prior to last year.
Yes.
It was a quick.
Yeah, and this is a big year because, you know, we have just rebuilt our budget, you know, based on kind of crash and burn. So, you know, there should be questions.
There should be questions and, you know, Craig and I have spent lots of time putting the budgets together and going over things and, you know, really thinking about what our next fiscal year is gonna look like and just really trying to make it, you know, a solid, good, sustainable budget and
You're gonna be
very
under a
understandable.
magnifying glass from the whole community in the state, you know.
Oh, we have been.
We have been for
That ain't going away anytime soon until you
No.
prove yourself for a couple of years.
No, no,
Exactly.
it's
Nobody's
not
gonna
going away.
forget that.
No,
Exactly.
it'll stay for a while.
So, you know, what you have developed, you know, help us all, you know, by, I mean, not like, you know, babying us with the information, but, you know, explaining it as you go would be helpful.
Oh, yes, and we'll go through and explain and talk about the different, you know, different things within the budget and, you know, the whys of some changes within the budget.
Yeah, and we have, and I don't know how much the budget committee, other than, aside from the board, that portion of the budget committee follows all of this. So they may, you know, this is for their benefit too.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay, so just more, so this is expenses within the budget, the requirements. And then this is non-allocated, so these are things like our loan falls into here. Our capital reserve fund falls into there, it's so small,
Need a microscope.
it's so small, there, it's a little better. So this will tie everything, it'll, you know, this will tie it together. Oops, now I'm huge, hold on. Goodness gracious.
Excuse me, does the budget committee, aside from the board, are they issued your financials, monthly financial statements?
No, the budget committee's not, but they're public, they're put out on our website and, so they're,
Would it be beneficial for our newcomer Jim to have a few
Yeah, I
months to
wanna
look
see
at?
the 9 months, the 9 months is out.
you wanna see the financials through March?
Yeah.
I can
The
get that to
variance
you,
and the budget variance.
I can get that to you. Thank you, Mary, I was like, I don't have a pen, didn't bring a pen with me today. Will
You want a pin?
just remind me that I need to send Jim that information? Cause I can't seem to have a pen. Thank you.
Mary?
I'll look it up.
Yeah, 9 months through March, right, year to date, 3 quarters.
October?
Yeah.
Yeah, so
You have your financials done within 15 days in a month?
No, they're done,
It's about a week before the board meeting.
so it's about 3 weeks in.
3 weeks a month.
Yeah.
Better than ours.
This one will be-
HOA.
This one will be a little bit shorter, like for your April, the financials that we'll have at the May budget meeting will be a little bit shorter because I'm going on vacation, so.
Vacation. And your budget's on Excel? All Excel?
Yes.
Oh,
Do you want your red pen back
have
there?
we switched over to the different software yet?
No,
Does, maybe Jim, you could tell them what
To move away from
we
AccuFund.
have and which one we want.
I don't know which one we want. We currently have, it's called AccuFund. It's our accounting software and it's not super friendly and it wasn't set up appropriately. So it's been a headache.
Anything of changing your accounting software?
I guess a big deal, which is why it hasn't
It's,
happened yet.
so when I first came on the board, Jim, they were using QuickBooks. which-
Oh, yeah. I don't like QuickBooks. That's
It's
a-
not,
It's
it's
terrible
it's
for-
not good
for
for
young
you.
accounting.
For government, probably.
So
Yeah,
then-
it's terrible.
Yeah.
So then we switched to AccuFund, but the person that set it up didn't set it up correctly. So our balance sheet,
Yeah.
no matter what it says, it's not right.
We went through this in the class of county historical society, it took us a year to get this, it's just a disaster, it's critical.
Yes, yes. So the basic stuff that I produce, as far as like the monthly, resources and expenditures, that part is right. Our balance sheet is wonky. You know, and it just is not, it's not a perfect system. And when it's not set up correctly, it makes it, you know, all that much harder.
Yeah, it makes you question everything and it's wonky in even one area, so it loses credibility.
we figured we'd get through this budget season with this software, and then we have an RFI ready to go, you got some information.
To get something different. So we will see how it goes, but it's not a super user friendly software anyway. And we have our payroll in it as well. And I like the idea of having one program that does, you know, that has your payroll and it's all integrated into one and that you don't have to,
Oh, yeah,
upload anything.
Right.
And
and you want something super supportive, locally super supportive,
Yes.
super supportive.
that's another thing, the support system within AccuFund is the greatest. So
Frustrating, very frustrating.
it is. So on our budget, on our resources, we have a beginning cash, our fares, or rental income, grants, gifts, donations, commissions, interfund transfers. We have interest that we get on our deposits, which this year has been great so far.
Yeah.
Mass transit, which is our payroll tax, timber revenue, and property taxes. And then we get, within property taxes, there's some previous year's property taxes, so it's not a whole lot, but it adds up at the end of the day.
I'm gonna just,
Well,
Come on in, sir.
just a little bit of a heads up. The one year that, I think it was 21, 22, I could be wrong about this, but this is where we got into trouble. We were told that we had X amount of money in the
Yes.
bank, you know which one I'm talking about?
Yes.
I am going to ask you for proof of our starting amount, just so you have, so bank statements or something to prove approximately what we're starting with. Because that's where we got in trouble, 21, 22, is we were told we had $900,000 in the bank and we had 85,000.
Yes.
So I am going to be asking for proof of approximately, I know you can't give us the exact, but approximately how much.
And do you want bank statements for that proof, or do you want, cause like our, so when you look at your dashboard every month, those amounts that are listed on there are the balances in the bank as of that day.
I think both, because you can manipulate that dashboard.
That would not behoove me. I do not have time for those kinds of things.
Well, I'm glad I wasn't the only one thinking that.
But we were told,
No,
and that
yeah.
dashboard could be the same thing, you could manipulate that. So probably both.
Okay.
And we'll just explain that there's outstanding checks and outstanding deposits, but it shows an approximate. And I think that's really important
We could do that
after,
after what we've been through, I understand.
Yeah.
And I appreciate the heads up, because I didn't wanna walk in on Thursday and be like, oh yeah, can you give me this? I mean, I could, but.
I try to give you a heads up, but I know it's gonna be a little bit of a issue finding, so. Not necessarily finding, but.
No, but that's easy enough. I can make that happen.
But you have all the theft policies in place and all that stuff.
Lots of policies.
Limits are,
Paul might not be here today because he says electricians at his house.
Oh.
Or he might be late.
anyway, so you have all those policies. Can you write your coverage?
No, all of our stuff is done, SDIS does our,
CIS,
SDIS,
S.
SD,
Their insurance brokerage
Yes.
company or.
They're through SDAO. And they're.
Special district.
special district.
Oh, special one for, that's good, that's good.
Paul, this is Jim Albert.
Hi,
This
Jim.
is Paul Lewinsky.
Oh, how you doing?
Nice to meet
I
you.
think I saw you on the Zoom. Were you on the Zoom? The other Zoom? Yeah.
He's a
Oh.
commissioner.
He's
He's a-
board
I'm on
commissioner.
board.
He was
You're on
our,
the board. You were an employee here though or something?
I was.
Yeah, that's right.
he's been everything.
Operations, head of operations, something like that.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
And
right.
then he was our interim director.
Right, yes, you know everything.
yeah, I can't get enough of this place.
Every time he thinks he's gonna get away, we just reel him back in.
Well, and I was gonna skip this meeting this morning, but the last text I got from our board chair was compelling in its wordsmithing, and so I felt I should be a part of the activity, even though I have an email that tells me this meeting starts at 10 o'clock.
There was a little problem with that tiny bit.
No, it wasn't from you, Mary.
Was it from me? It might have been from me.
I think originally I put it on my calendar at 10 and then.
You don't want me here?
No.
Originally, I wanted it at 10, so
Oh.
I had a moment to
okay.
breathe when I got into the
No.
office before I came in for this, but
Okay.
9
Was
was
it the
just
same thing?
a lot of time, so here I am.
This is the budget training.
Budget training.
What you sent, right? No, I haven't sent it. No, you're looking at the budget training that Kelly's budget training.
I think so.
Okay. When? We are. We're kind of doing that. But I don't remember sending that out.
At 10,
It was way back when we first set these, and so, and then it got moved up to 9
To
o'clock,
9.
but anyway.
Dear.
I always had.
Did you have anything?
Oh,
This is a review by Kelly about,
Take no longer.
you know, financials.
is it at 10? What time is Thursday?
And that's just the
10?
PowerPoint
10
presentation
would be great.
that she's doing right here.
You're not one of those.
And then this
No,
is
but
our
it gives me a moment
agenda,
to breathe when
and then this is just some,
Otherwise, I get in, I mix up myself down and I come right here.
you know, definitions,
Yeah, that's right.
basic definitions.
So we're not here.
This is
So,
the-
which is
for
fine.
Thursday, disregard that.
What time do you have Thursday for?
That's, she just giving you the packet for this Thursday's meeting. So
Is that what's on the
we're doing
packet?
just fine. We're,
Yeah,
here's
that's
where
what
we are,
she
and
sent out last
and if
Thursday.
you read that with your home, you'll totally understand. It's just an overview of who we are and our, how we get our allotted,
I like 10 o'clock better.
funding.
But I thought 10 o'clock.
I have 10 on
Well, you
mine.
know what, there was a
Okay.
discrepancy here, it was a mistake. A mistake,
Okay, when did you start?
somebody boo-booed,
We started
we
at.
started at 9. You didn't boo-boo, you just didn't read the
But then
most
my-
recent
Yeah.
SETD
Pam,
Okey doke.
memo.
I thought it was 10 too. I only need you here by about 4 minutes.
Okay.
It says
All
10,
right.
your packet says 10, it does, it's my fault.
For
And then-
Thursday it says
Oh,
10, or for
good.
today it says 10?
Blame Mary.
Thursday,
Jim
they
thought
said
it was
10 a.m.
9:30.
Okay.
And then you turn to
But
this
I
page,
ran into him
which has the
yesterday,
calendar, and it says
9:30
9
tomorrow,
a.m.
I go, oh,
so,
no, no. Oh, okay.
so you're not really late,
Okay.
and you haven't missed much. Okay, but, and here's the packet, no, it wasn't in the packet, this is
It's
just,
been very informative up until now.
this is. Okay,
You haven't done this much.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so
But
here
you
we
did
are.
so well the first time, if you do it again, it'll be even better.
Yeah.
Fine.
I already told
Okay,
Pam to
I'll call
read,
that.
go home and read the pages prior to when she got there.
Okay, I'm fine, continue, sorry. No, I'm not.
You're fine. You're
We're
good,
on page 10,
you're good.
10,
10,
Okay,
11, 10, 11.
We are looking at budget requirements, so,
page 11,
Is that
box
11?
22.
sorry.
Page 11, box 22, slide 22. Next page, there you go.
So the minimum standard is that we have a general fund, that, we put what our expenditures are. We do a little bit more detail in that, so we have a general fund. And then we have like our personal services or material services and our capital outlay. And then we have operating contingencies, so we had talked a little bit about contingency earlier. Reserve for future expenditures, and then unappropriated ending fund balance. We will have money in our contingency and then reserve for future expenditures, anything will in that category as well. And then the unappropriated ending fund balance is an amount that's completely set aside to be carried to the next fiscal year. And that money is not, you're not to touch those funds until the next fiscal year.
So this contingency fund, that's typically set in designated CD somewhere or investment somewhere, separate from everything.
We do have our contingency fund in a separate account, yes, in an interest-bearing account.
Yeah.
Now,
I have a comment for the benefit of Jim. My new best friend, Jim. Is that, contingency funds are also really helpful for when ODOT has problems with, funding, disbursement.
Timing
Yes,
issues.
yes,
timing.
So
Okay.
also you'll draw out of those for timing and then replace them?
we hope to never draw out of our
Oh, yeah,
contingency
right.
fund. Yes, Pam?
How do you set the amount for the unappropriated ending fund balance?
We don't have an unappropriated ending fund balance.
You know?
We have a reserve for future expenditure.
Okay, and the other thing, since I was prepared for Thursday,
So Thursday, we'll talk about the actual budget.
the question is, I didn't see a separate line item for the contingency fund.
It's there.
Okay.
It should be on the non-allocated page,
Okay,
which page 1, 2, 3, page 4 of the budget, maybe? I could be wrong.
okay, I'll look for it.
It would be
So-
of the actual budget, yeah.
And you're saying that we have a reserve fund, not the unappropriated?
Reserve for future expenditures,
And that's what it's called?
yes.
Okay. Thank you.
So we had talked earlier about the meeting process. So our budget meetings are subject to public meeting law. So Mary has done the due diligence on that of posting when theirs are going to be, sending that out to the paper, and setting those up in that way. We will, at the beginning of the meeting, we will nominate an officer to lead the meetings. We have to have a quorum. Majority of committee is required to take action. And then you guys can request and receive additional information from the district as needed. There we go.
I'm turning the chair over to Rebecca, and I'm out here.
Okay, thanks Debbie. See you
Thanks,
Thursday.
Debbie.
See you Thursday.
See you on Thursday.
And you guys decide what time. times.
You want.
Funny, dude.
See you later, Debbie.
Bye-bye.
The budget committee receives the budget document, hears the budget message, considers public comment. We discuss the budget and revise it if needed. The budget committee approves the budget, and they also approve the property tax rate like we had talked about earlier. And then they recommend the budget to the board. And then after the budget committee is done, the board does a budget hearing. And that's when they would adopt the budget.
As an open hearing, public hearing.
We do it as part of our board meeting for that month, and do our budget hearing during that.
Did you invite the public participation in comment?
Normally, no.
Might this year,
Last year we did, this year we might, after being,
Yeah,
after the
right.
year that we've had. It's kind of hard to tell what what the public's gonna do there.
Possible.
Public it is, really.
But the public is more than welcome to email or be online, or send in a letter for comment.
All good.
And is our recording posted on YouTube? So there's another opportunity for
They can go
people to,
back and replay.
Yeah.
They can go back and look at it.
Anything we say.
Yes. All of our stuff is recorded. Did you have a question, Pam?
Well, on the budget, it says unappropriated ending fund balance.
Right.
I thought you said that we didn't have it.
I would have to see, we'll go over the budget on Thursday. At this point, I can't discuss the budget because we're not in a budget meeting. Yeah. I can talk about the training of the budget and what we'll do, but I can't actually talk about the budget itself.
Sometimes.
Just trying to make sure I'm following the rules. We can make changes to the budget after adoption, if need be. So it's a plan, our budget is a plan based on estimates. It's our foundation, but, there are times that something changes and we do have to make changes.
Did you make that change in the subsequent appendix budget, not to the master budget? Still track always against the master, no matter what?
And then if you have to make a supplemental budget, then you track against your supplemental budget.
Or you would, so new budget could actually disappear and you'd have a supplemental budget.
Your entire budget wouldn't disappear, it would just be
Well,
a
right.
change within a piece of your budget.
Because I hate to see budgets disappear, we used to do that, we stopped doing that, so.
Yeah, it's
You
your
always
whole
had to go
budget,
back to the master.
yeah, but if you have something that
Right.
changes,
Oh,
then you
you
have
could,
to,
oh, you could,
then
big
you would
revenue
just-
gain, big
you would
cost,
track
big
to what
that's
you're
capital,
doing.
Right, for the
Yeah.
appendix budget. Okay, did you do that last year?
not for this fiscal year, but we did for the previous fiscal year, for 23 we did, because we had ran out of funding, we had gotten,
Yes, I get.
those loans, so we
Yeah,
did,
yeah, I get you, you
supplement
would, well,
that.
certainly in that case you'd have to,
yes.
I get it. I get it.
And I hope to not have to do a
Right.
supplemental budget again.
Right.
For any purpose, I mean,
But-
unless we got a bunch of money for
Yeah.
something,
The board would do all that, wouldn't have to do the budget committee.
Right.
Yeah, okay.
Jim, can I just interrupt one more time? This is Pam Allegria, who's on the board, and this
You're the
is,
treasurer?
Yes.
Right, yeah, I saw you on
Jim
Zoom,
Albert.
yeah.
new
It's unfortunate.
budget committee.
You were sitting exactly the same chair on this,
Yeah.
that's
It
your
says
chair.
reserved.
that's Pam's seat. This is normally Debbie's seat.
You sit over there.
No, usually here.
Well, I was probably
Usually
over
over there on
there,
the
I was
Zoom
over
last
there
time.
because Tracy wasn't here,
Oh,
but I
that's
usually
right.
sit right
Yeah,
here at
you
the
were
end.
here. Oh, you were over here.
Yep, Paul was over there.
Paul's a
Rebecca was right there.
roaming board member.
That's good.
Sorry.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
And then there's a slide that gives you a little bit more information on Oregon budget law, and there's different resources. So the local budget training I go through that every year. Craig went through it this year, most of our board had gone through it.
At the state level.
At the state level, yeah, it's state.
Is that what John does that? Like John Dresden?
No, John Reason doesn't do that. John is from Columbia County, and when Columbia County, he runs CC Riders, he's the,
Oh. Your sister, okay.
so he had stepped in last year when we fell, to just kind of help to guide us and to guide us through.
And these trainings are put on by the Department of Revenue.
Yes,
Correct.
You go down there and do the Zoom.
we did them all via Zoom. So, which is really nice, and they're recorded, so you're able to go in, and watch them. And they put on a good training, it has a lot of good information. And they break it up into 3 sessions when they do it on Zoom.
With the budget committee to participate.
They could if they wanted to, yeah. Our board did this year.
Yeah, I think about 6 or 7 members.
I just wanted to say for Jim's benefit that John from Columbia, had a financial background. And he used to be the finance guy for the county before we took over their transportation.
Oh, Columbia County was financed for Columbia County.
So he was a financial expert, among or above everything else, and that's why we turned to him for some help with our recovery.
That's nice of you.
It's very
He's a
nice.
heck of a partner, I'll tell you.
Yes. Yes, very thankful for John, very thankful. So that is all I have on the slide presentation. You should have a resources and requirements definitions. I'm not gonna go over it per se, but it's just for you to kind of have an idea as you're looking over the budget, kind of what falls within those line items, the type of things, the expenditures especially.
But this is really helpful.
But the resources will kind of tell you, when we receive those different resources, whether it's, monthly, quarterly, annually, however that falls. And then the requirements is just to kind of give you an idea of what to expect when you see these different line items, what those are, what we're spending in those items.
That's a lot of work.
So just,
This is an excellent job.
Yeah.
Really helpful.
Yeah.
we did good last year, Paul.
You did this last year.
We, Paul and I kind of brought it together last year, just for more of a quick reference for ourselves.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that's beneficial to the committee to be able to have. And it's not a perfect document, but it gives you a very good understanding as to, our resources and requirements as to what's there.
Thanks for putting that together.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
Very nice, very
We'll
informative.
figure this all out. We haven't even do it all.
That's great. I'm gonna go on vacation early.
Just let us know when you're done.
Yeah. I'll zoom in, it'll be fine. I'm gonna stop sharing.
Well, this is really helpful. This is a good document. I think this would be good for the board, what do you call it? Our 3-ring binder,
To hang on
orientation.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
so, no, it's nice, this was a good document to put together, just kind of a nice overview, for everybody and, a little bit of the nitty gritty, but, not all of it, so.
Good, thank you.
Huge benefit for you. Much better than I thought it was gonna
I don't have a whole lot, I mean, I just, just a little bit, so if there's any other questions from you guys or thoughts, anything like that.
I have a question for Mary. How many people do we have for the committee besides the board?
You can't have this because I wrote on it, but you can have this.
This is the current document.
Oh.
Do you want a copy, Rebecca, too?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Oh, thank
there you go. That one, you know.
Sorry, I was
Oh,
keeping all
that
of
is one
those.
little boo-boo. My name is spelled R-E-A-D. everybody please make a note of it.
How'd I spell it this time? E-E-A-D?
I know it, it's so impossible.
How was it spelled?
R-E-A-D. Thank you. I know it's nitpicky, but it's my name.
No,
Oh, yeah, that's important.
Those are important things.
Very, no big deal. But it's very rarely used, R-E-A-D.
very. And people correct it when I put R-E-A-D, they tell me I've spelled it wrong.
R-E-A-D, I know.
No.
That's right. So that is all I have this morning for training.
Oh, I see one person, that is no longer on the, who's the woman who is the, health department?
Christine,
Lodge? Yeah, Lodge, no
Yeah.
longer on.
No.
Okay.
she didn't want to, or?
No, she's,
Serves her time.
she's got a Molly Close, I think she is right now.
I can see why.
Anything else?
All right, thank you very much,
Questions?
and since I'm supposed to gavel this, or maybe not,
Mary's
appreciate
got
it,
something.
we are now adjourned.
Okay,
No, that's okay, I can talk after the adjournment, because it's really about housekeeping. I've got budget packs being copied in here. Have you received your budget?
Should we stop the recording?
Yeah,
Oh, yes, sorry.
I don't have.
Mary has the power.
Mary has the power. I don't have the power. I just have the power to present the presentation.